Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Morhonda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got it!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30. He's going to go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three. And
now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Friday's edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the beautiful Big Ten Men's Golf Championship being hosted at the Pete Dye Course at the French Slick Golf Resort and Casino. Happy to be here. It's got to be one of the most beautiful places in the state. And I'm fortunate to be welcome in Coach Mike Mara, Indiana's golf coach, as the Big Ten Championship is going on here this weekend. And Coach Mara, thanks, first of all.
Thank you, Jim.
What a great place to have this event. The Pete Dye Course, every time I've been here, I would just be happy walking around and just seeing all the beauty that it brings. But I've never been on a course that is that beautiful while you're playing, but it's certainly a challenging golf course as well.
No question. Aesthetically, it is breathtaking. And you have to be cognizant of that when you're competing, because you don't want the beauty of the golf course to kind of distract you a little bit from what you have to do. And as we all know, Pete Dye could set things up difficult. So you got to be really careful on the tees that you're not looking somewhere you shouldn't be looking. And there's a lot to look at out here.
And this is a course that you've got to keep the ball in the fairway. There are some holes that if you get off, brother, it's like a 30-foot drop over off that left side. Yeah,
it's a shot maker's golf course for sure, Jim. You're correct. If you can play this golf course from the fairways, it's doable. But if you're at all errant, if you're at all off the side one way or the other, doesn't matter which side normally, you're in a lot of trouble.
How challenging is this course for this Big Ten championship for these collegians? We were talking about earlier the setup. How is it set up differently? Do they shorten it and lengthen it? What was there any specification changes?
We were here in 2012, 2013, and 2014 for this championship. I think it's set up probably a little shorter this time, and that is fine. And ironically, since that time, these guys hit it even longer. We were just talking, the 15th hole is set up a little short at 330, and we were playing it yesterday, and the group behind us, the kid hits over the green. So that's probably the kind of driver you hit.
Exactly. I'm used to that.
But I don't think that's the big factor. I think you mentioned the big factor. That's keeping the ball in front of you, keeping it in the fairway, however you need to do that. And if you can't do that, you're not going to be successful. If you can do that, it doesn't matter if you're driving at 300 yards or probably your distance, 225, you're going to be okay.
You're about closer now. Even though this course is close to home, this is not really much of an advantage here because, I know the guys have probably played here, but not a ton because you're elsewhere. And you guys have got the new foul course. I guess I'm going to stick with that. It's not much of a home court advantage, right?
No, for a number of reasons. Since it's a neutral site, our bylaws say we cannot get on the golf course. Today's the first day. Next year, if we're in New Jersey at Galloway, we wouldn't go there anyway, but we can't now get on that golf course for a year. So we stayed off this golf course for a year.
Wow.
We have been here. We come here. They're
Holy
gracious
cow.
to host our team, usually a couple times a semester. But besides the travel part, it's not an advantage at all. It's nice to come an hour and 10 minutes down the road.
Absolutely.
But besides that, this is a true neutral site.
How has been having the foul course for not just your program, obviously the women's too, but for the golf program in Indiana? What has that done for the program?
As I've said many times, Jim, it is a game changer in more ways than one. From a recruiting aspect, we can attempt to recruit bigger players, more nationally known players. From a competitive standpoint, it helps us prepare. We've been trying to figure that golf course out, and it's difficult golf course to figure it out.
You're not alone out there. Hear that from a lot of people.
We probably played it and practiced it way too difficult for a while, and it kind of beat us up. because it is an extremely hard golf course. So we're trying to find that happy medium where we can play it and still score our golf ball.
And it's still finding its character settlement. It's not where it's going to be, I guess. What is it, 2 years old or 3 years old?
It's not even close, Jim. Yeah, it's brand new. It just finished its second year. We've cut back some of the fescue. We've softened it up, as we like to say. We're going to do some other transformational things. And I do think it had a chance in time to really turn into a prominent golf course in this country.
What are you expecting here? Who are the front runners? Where's Indiana coming into this? How are you feeling about this challenge?
Well, Illinois, it seems to always be a front runner, and they are playing extremely well right now. Won their last two events at Purdue and then at Ohio State last week. Coach Small's got his team playing. Now we have beat them once this year, and we've beaten Purdue, the second seed, 3 times this year. I think those two teams on paper, but Jim, truthfully, I think there's 6 or 7, maybe as much as 8 teams who could win this championship, and we are definitely one of them.
Weather, we've been keeping an eye on the weather, but it's looking like it's going to be okay. We were fearful that there was going to be some rain coming in, but it seems like it's kind of skirting around, and it's the temperatures are actually pretty perfect out there.
It's perfect. And the wind, I just checked the wind conditions for today. If the forecast stays true, I think there's going to be some good numbers today. These guys are good. You've got some future tour pros out there. These guys can flat play. And if the wind stays down like they're estimating it might, I think we're going to see some pretty low numbers today.
Yeah, I was thinking with all the number of golfers, how many is it? 5 per team that are out there? So 14. So whatever that number is, 50, 60, close to 60, there's got to be some PGA pros. I mean, maybe 5, up to 5 that come out of that with that number.
Among many players we have out here is James Pyatt, the reigning U.S. Amateur Championship, who played in the Masters a few weeks back. So, yeah, there are some prominent names out here, and no question about there's some future professional golfers. And
the future of Indiana golf is looking pretty bright. You guys, how the success has been raised since the foul course, it seems. I mean, I can't just say that because it's been such a short run, but it seems like there's been kind of an instant impact.
No question. We advanced to NCAA postseason play last year, first time in a number of years. We won at Purdue in the fall. Then we won the Big Ten Match Play Championship, the match play version of this tournament.
How long had it been since Indiana had done that?
Pardon?
How long had it been since Indiana had done that?
Well, we won the match play the previous year as well, after the foul course. So again, I think that golf course is really transforming our program.
It's always great to have a great golf course, but you cannot have a better one than we are right here at the Pete Dye course at the French Lick Golf Resort and Casino. And I am so looking forward to this tournament. The first tee time for you guys is 9:45. What's the setup? How do all 5 of your guys tee off one together? I know there's pairings as well.
We are paired with Northwestern and Michigan State as the 4, 5, and 6 seeds in the tournament. So we'll tee off our 5-player, followed by the 4-player, 3-player, 2-player, and 1-player in a row off the first hole. The first hole, coincidentally, we talked about, is set up a lot different than it had been in past Big Ten championships. So it's going to be a little bit more benign, a little easier to kind of get out there and get your feet under you, and get those jitters out. So, and that's what you got to do.
And it's still stroke play, not match play, right?
This is now stroke play. We won the match play. Now we got to do it in stroke play.
Well, I think you can do it. I can't thank you enough. I wish you the best of luck. It's going to be a great day, and I'll see you out there on the course.
Thank you, Jim.
Coach, thank you so much. Coach Mike Mayer joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio this morning, coming to you from the Big Ten Men's Golf Championship at the Pete Dye course at French Lick's Resort and Casino here in beautiful French Lick, Indiana. Man, I am looking so forward to this. John, you can jump in here. I can't see what time. I'm having trouble seeing today because of our background.
You got about 4 or 5 more minutes.
Tried to give everybody a beautiful background with this here at the beautiful Pete Dye course. Sometimes it's the light's not cooperating, but man, need to get Mike back out. They're teeing off here in just a little bit. So looking forward to when the show's over to get out there and check that out. But I've never been to a collegiate event, golf event. So I'm looking forward to it. Getting to go around and watch that. So coming up, Alec Lasley is going to be joining us at 8:50. And following that, Zach Osterman from the Indy Stars on the program today. Then we're going to speak to Brendan Sweeney. He is the head of media relations here and the grand poobah of all things that are fun. And then Jeffrey the Greek. And here's what's funny, John. Well, I did not run into
the Greek. No Jeffrey the Greek.
No?
I sent that to you last night.
Oh, that's fine. We'll go long, but with my other guys. But the only reason it bums me out is because I met a gentleman yesterday named AJ Eds. I'm trying to remember where he is from in Indiana. It's in the southwest part of the state, I believe. And I was like, and I could tell he was a former football player. I'm like, yeah. He was talking about high school, and I'm like, where'd you play in college? And he said, I went to Iowa. So he played at Iowa, but he's from here, but he works for the Big Ten. So, but Jeffrey the Greek knows.
A nice little connection.
Well, Jeffrey the Greek, I sent him a text last night. Oh, and here's why I really am mad because Jeffrey the Greek wasn't on. I sent him a text last night after I met AJ. He said, hey, I just met AJ Eds, man. I said, what's up? I just met AJ Eds. He texts back, oh, that's awesome. Who is this?
He didn't know you were texting him?
He didn't know who it was. I was like, wow. I'm feeling all warm and fuzzy. So I'm really disappointed he's not going to be on today because I was going to bust his chops.
Oh, man.
Gee whiz.
Now, do we still have Mo Creek as well?
Oh, I forgot about Mo. What time's Mo coming on? 10:10?
Yeah, he's our last segment.
Oh, yeah. Forgot.
So a packed show.
It is packed. Mo Creek played the home game last night with the Medora Timberjacks. No, it's tonight. So if you guys want to go out and see some basketball, I mean, there's some serious ball going on. It's right over there in Medora, which is pretty close to a lot of places, in central Indiana. It's 30 minutes east of Bloomington. So you're over there close, Seymour area, Salem. A lot of people can get there quick over there to watch that. So I'm gonna try to get out there tomorrow night. They have a home game. So I'm looking forward to trying to get out there, running around, man. This stuff just doesn't stop down here last night to get set up for this event. Looking forward to being here today. And then there's basketball going on all weekend, of course, and I'll talk to Alec Lasley about that here in a second. The Fort Wayne, the Bill Hensley Run and Slam, I believe, is going on this weekend. But the Hoosier.com has got that covered. And we'll talk to Zach Osterman as well to see what's new with him today. All right, we got to take a break. Brought to you by our good friends at Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer, and our great friends from the Wow Club. Make sure you go sign up in your app store, whether it's the Google App Store or Apple App Store. Sign up today and start earning dining dollars and discounts sent directly to your mobile app. You can order online from places like BB's Marketplace, which is all a part of that Wow network, and you build points. And it's great, and it's helpful to us. Just sign up, even if you don't use it. We appreciate it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and like button on YouTube, please. It really helps us, and we greatly appreciate our audience so much. We really, really sincerely appreciate you guys. More coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort Casino right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
Good morning, Alec.
Morning.
Welcome to the friendly confines of French Lick Resort and Casino.
Yep. I think I know what Jim's doing later.
He's here for the
Big Ten Champions going on.
Yeah, men's golf championships. He just
I wish
an interview piece with Mike Mayer.
I came up last night hoping I got here early, and I was hoping just to go over. You've never been here, I assume.
No.
Their driving range. Well, everything here is just gorgeous, manicured. But the driving range just goes off, and it's just a big
it's one of
gigantic
those.
gully, and it comes back up way out there, and you got the pyramid of balls that are just sitting there that you just pluck from. I'm surprised
but you never want to hit from because they look so nice.
I'm surprised there's not someone to put the ball on the tee. I'm serious. But yeah, I could just stand there and hit. I wanted so bad to go for and hit balls, but I couldn't. They were like, I said, I can't. We got it all set. All right. So I went over and putted instead.
Oh, they still allowed you to do that though?
Oh yeah. Well, they had all the balls stacked up and I got it. I've played here.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was putting the greens weren't. I'm like, man, I thought they'd be faster than this, but it would depend on where you were. I hit one and it was like, what? And all of a sudden I'm like going, where the hell's that son of a bitch going?
Yep.
Dude,
I didn't know French Lick was the second, or at least where you're at in French Lick, was the second highest point in Indiana.
Where I am right now, the mansion. I am at the mansion. This used to be just about gigantic old farmland, and this was the mansion. I'm upstairs. I mean, this is upstairs at the mansion. I wish to God you all could see this. It's so beautiful. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah, I hear the birds and everything chirping out there.
Jim, Tebow was asking if you saw his comment about the Hubers tour or whatever.
I did not, but that's something good to mention, I guess. I know that they're doing it. Was it announced?
I just put it on. I put the comment up on. Oh, I thought I lost you for a second.
Oh, yeah, you did freeze up for a second there.
All right, I'm bringing us back in.
Free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on this station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back here on this Friday. I am actually coming to you from the Big Ten Men's Golf Championship at the Pete Dye course at French Licks Resort and Casino in French Lick, Indiana. Weather looks like it's going to hold off. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com joining me now. I bet you wish you were here.
Oh, yeah, I do. It looks nice out there. Yeah, I was saying I could hear the birds chirping. Sounds like a nice Friday morning for some golf.
Well, I can. The camera and the background light is kind of not letting us really show you the. Maybe in a break I'll switch to my phone and see if that helps for a second. But to really see the beauty here, it's incredible. It really truly is. But basketball, lots going on this weekend. Is it the Bill Hensley Run and Slam up in Fort Wayne?
Yep, that's this weekend starting tonight.
Is that the only thing going on, or there's two?
That's the big one. You have teams coming from Adidas, from some of the other leagues as well, kind of a mosh pit. So it's one of those other kind of big events here in the Midwest that's kind of a can't miss for some of these prospects, even though it's not a true live evaluation period. Like the other couple events that have been in Indy have been, it's still a tremendous event to get out there and get on the court. And for us, we'll be out there. So, we'll be out there tonight, tomorrow, and then Sunday as well.
And most of the guys that are out there, though, it's got Gabe Cups, right? Who are some of the other guys that Indiana's actually looking at?
Yeah, so you got Gabe Cups, Xavier Booker. Those two actually play together or against each other, I should say, on Saturday morning. So that's going to be a big one. You have some of the Indy Heat guys, Jalen Harrelson, Trent Sicily, Camden Catchings. Those are kind of the biggest names, at least IU perspective. Then you have the Indiana Elite team as well. So, Flory Badunga, Travis Perry, sorry, and some of those guys. So you got, I would say, in total, probably 10 to 12 different IU guys in different tiers that you're probably going after. But in terms of newer prospects that you would hear about, probably not going to come out after this weekend, just due to the fact that, the actual live period isn't going on. So it's going to be a little bit slower in terms of true offers getting extended after this weekend, like we've seen over the past 2 live evaluation periods.
I had the chance to see Trent Sisley and Harrelson and those guys a week ago, and I talked about how unbelievably impressed I was with, first of all, they look like they're freshmen in college. They both, Harrelson and Sisley, have collegiate bodies. And Harrelson looked extraordinarily confident, athletic with the ball, strong a guard as I've seen. Sisley could probably play the 2 guard if needed be, but he's so big, and got such great length. He would be a ferocious 2, but also probably the 3 is maybe where he ends up. I don't know. He could grow more. He's 6'7" now, but he's got a smoke. I saw him knock down 3 from the corner, and he just hit him with ease. And he just has both of them. They just have a game that is above their years.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of the best way to put it. We talked, I think it was last week, just about how the in-state classes over the past couple of classes here and recruiting cycles haven't been as strong. They've been deep just in terms of overall talent, but when you're looking at high major kind of impact talent, it just hasn't been there. For the 2025 class with those 2 guys, Trent Sisley and Jalen Harrelson, those are 2 guys that are top of the recruiting class, not only in 2025, but they could push for some of the top players in the not only in the state but in the country, and not only that class, but even in 2024, if they were to kind of combine those 2 classes. That's how talented they are. That's how advanced they are for their age. And when you look at the ball skills that a guy like Harrelson has, and he's a guy who can play on and off the ball. I think he set the Fisher scoring record earlier this season when he had, I think it was 40 points in a game. So he's a tremendous scorer.
That's a school. Had some guys come through there.
Yep. So, he's a guy that can not only score on all 3 levels, but he can do so with the ball so effectively going into his sophomore year now, right? Obviously just finishing up his freshman season, already has multiple high major offers, and a guy who Indiana is actively seeking out, and more so than I would say some of the 2024 guys that are in the state right now, just due to the fact that they know that recruitment's going to become national here, probably in the middle of this summer, if not sooner, just due to the not only the confidence that he has, but the talent that he has on the floor, playing up an age group and going up against and really kind of manhandling some of these older guards. Just a terrific frame, terrific player, and definitely one to watch when it comes to the next 2 years. I hope he stays at Fishers. They have a good coaching staff there, but it'll be interesting to see what he does if that recruitment does kind of tick up nationally, if he does decide to kind of go the prep school route, which, we've talked about and seen a lot of these in-state guys do over the last 2 to 4 seasons.
I spoke to Nate Hawkins up there at Fishers in regards to Trent Sisley, and I just said, I go, man, you're going to have a lot of fun over the next 3 years. And he's like, yeah, he knows what he has. I had a tweet that I hadn't sent out yet from yesterday, that one I talked to you about. But Brian Walsh is doing a bang up job with this recruitment for Indiana. And I think that is uber important. When someone says that and says it early, I think that matters. And I think that's a great thing for Indiana fans to hear. And Brian Walsh is doing a hell of a job, period, first of all. And we'd heard that, he was a great worker and was doing great things. And that this Trent Sisley, by the time he becomes a senior, how big do you think his recruitment is going to be? I think it's going to be massive.
I think so too. I think, in going back to your last point, Brian Walsh saw both Jalen Harrelson at Fisher's and then Trent Sisley at Heritage Hills both this week. So went in to get some visits there, and that's the one thing that he couldn't do in his previous position is leave campus. So the fact that now he gets to go out, we've already seen him at multiple of the AAU events so far this summer, but now continue to build these relationships with a lot of the younger guys, which is what he had already been doing behind the scenes, but be able to actually go outside of the confines of Bloomington and see these kids on their campus is extremely beneficial that you're going to start to see here in the 2024 and 2025 classes. But for Trent Sisley, the biggest thing with him is going to be if he can really get obviously he's only a freshman, right? But he needs to continue to build that body because I don't think he's truly quick enough to play full-time out on the perimeter. At least guard defensively. He can knock down the outside shot, so that's obviously a big positive when it comes to the offensive end on the perimeter. But yeah, he's ultra skilled, pretty athletic, and can play that 3, the 4, and even in the high school era right now, some of the 5 as well. But you're looking at kind of that 3 to 4 hybrid mix when it comes to the college level. So it's just a matter of fact getting that consistent jump shot down because he has all the skills and he has all the talent in the world. He did struggle a bit last weekend against some of the length that he went up against. So that's just something that comes with not only playing up in age, but not always having the ball in your hands and dribbling around the perimeter, which he showcases more on the AAU level than he does in high school. So again, it's a long ways out for both of these guys, but both national recruitments that are going to happen from ACC to Pac-12 to probably Big 12 and so on and so forth. These are guys that almost every school around the country is going to end up wanting when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'm looking. Well, I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but it's certainly going to be a busy time. Indiana has been extraordinarily busy recruiting, and with all that's going on in the transfer portal, they're out seeing the guys. They're still teams are really still trying to build and land recruits, and this transfer portal is thrown into the middle of that. Like right now, Indiana is looking at Dexter Dennis. We've heard nothing else about anyone else. He hasn't said much. He's keeping quiet. Are they truly waiting to see what Trace Jackson Davis does? Do you believe?
I mean, I think to a certain extent, right? They're every school is still putting out feelers, behind the scenes to kind of see if someone in the transfer portal would be interested before they just go out and actively recruit that player. And that's kind of the pros and cons, right? If you have a guy like a Dexter Dennis who, after that visit that he had to Indiana, was pretty. I don't want to say a sure lock to IU, but as close as you could be to a pretty good lock after a visit. As the time went on, right, he visited Clemson. Wichita State's now back in the mix, and we just saw them retain one of their players who went into the transfer portal earlier this week, and they got him because of an NIL deal. So they're trying to get back involved with Dennis that way, which we'll see what happens, and that kind of goes down a much different route than I think Indiana is trying to go down. Obviously, they're very active in kind of the NIL deals and the promotion of the brand, but I just don't see them going out and trying to have like a bidding war when it comes to a certain player in the transfer portal, which we're starting to see now over the last week with some of these guys. But I think at the end of the day, regardless of if they get Dexter Dennis or if it's Trace Jackson Davis, you're still going to see a handful of names come across their recruiting board here in the transfer portal in the next couple of weeks, right? You still have 2 more days to actually enter the transfer portal through Sunday. So there's going to be probably still a handful of new names that enter in over the next 48 hours that aren't in there currently. So for Indiana, it's just about kind of staying the course. They've obviously retained a lot from last year that they wanted to. The additions of Race Thompson and Jordan Geronimo coming back are obviously two really big additions that were a little bit iffy heading into the offseason. So you shore up your front court there. Obviously, the backcourt is pretty talented as well with some of the guys coming in. So they're only about one or two different pieces away from really having a significant upgraded roster from the year before. And at this point, it's more of a really prioritize 1 to 3 guys instead of offer everyone, because that can obviously be a major con when you're trying to secure a commitment from one of these guys.
Absolutely, and so the video out yesterday of Trace Jackson Davis working on his jump shot. Ironically, I noticed that it only showed one shot, so I just kind of laughed. I'm like, okay, it was a nice looking shot, but how many of those did you take before it went in? I'm just kidding. But
well, and I mean,
it was a 3-point shot too, I believe.
Yeah, it was, but we've heard the same thing over the last 2 summers about Trace Jackson Davis finding a jump shot in the summer, and then we don't see it in the games when it comes to the season. So it's one of those things, right, where just like all these players do, they put out their highlight tapes, and you're never going to show anything bad, right? So that could have been the only shot that he made, but it's obviously a fun talking point because everyone knows that's exactly what he needs to improve on. So when you see him hit one of those shots, albeit a really slow release, it's still something that gets fans excited about the potential if you were to come back and the potential skill set that they would add to the floor with that next year.
Well, and seriously, think about that. Think about how dangerous that Indiana team would be with what they have coming in. If you had Trace Jackson Davis that had a jump shot, there's a game changer. And that does not even include having a jump shooter, which they have to find. CJ Gunn's working his butt off this summer. Talked to his dad. He's working hard, getting shots up. And he doesn't get a lot of pub. We don't talk about CJ a lot because he's the lowest recruit in the class. But dude, he did a lot this year in Indiana high school ball.
Oh yeah, he was phenomenal. And you look at the roster that he had, which was a significant downgrade Lawrence North roster than what they typically have, especially the years that he's been there, and really kind of taking a lot of that weight of not only being the go-to player, but everyone knowing that he's going to be the go-to player and still putting up multiple 30-point games. He was pretty efficient on those nights as well. And you look at the improvement that he made, I think, as a really ball dominant guard and finding his own shot off of the dribble. That was kind of the next step in his development. And he was able to do that. I still think for him, needs to be more consistent getting to the basket. He loves that jump shot, that mid-range pull-up, which is extremely lethal because of the elevation that he gets off of the jump. But still a guy that I think one is going to have a tremendous career at Indiana. I think it's going to be one that you're not going to see blossom immediately. I think there's probably going to be some growing pains there. But I think once he's an upperclassman, that I look for that junior season. I think he's going to be a phenomenal talent and one of those guys that as an opposing Big Ten team, you hate to see as a junior and senior just because of the scoring ability that he does have and the true athleticism that he has to be a really, really good two-way player on the wing. Good length, good athleticism, good size. And that's something that you can't always find, especially with that offensive ability on the other end as well.
Who is anyone kind of surprised, kind of came up that wasn't, as highly thought of that out of these few events? I haven't really heard of any new names that have popped up.
Yeah, I mean, for Indiana, I mean, the two really biggest trends I think you could say is one, they're really prioritizing 2023 power forward Arrington Page from Georgia. Really, really talented, kind of, I don't want to say late bloomer, but again, just guys who may not have seen a lot of that pub over the last year and a half just due to the lack of visibility. And obviously high school, you don't see the true athleticism and the true skill sets always blossom in the high school season. It tends to be more of the AAU season where they kind of make a name for themselves. But he's a guy, Kenya Hunter and Izzy Roseman actually visited him in person this week. both of those assistant coaches went down to see him for an in-home visit. So really kind of taking a step towards Page and kind of taking a step back, I would say, when it comes to Xavier Booker. Xavier Booker now kind of exploding onto the scene that I think a lot of people expected to happen. But it just took a while to get there for him, but he's having another terrific summer. And he's a guy that is a lot more of a national recruitment now and will even become more of a national recruitment, I would say, in the next month and a half. Just don't think Indiana's prioritizing him as much. If they push, maybe we'll see what happens, but they're definitely going in the other kind of frame of Arrington Page. And then a guy who did pop up, who they did offer, who reclassified down from 2022 to 2023, 6'5" point guard Freddie DeLone. He terrific athlete, 6'5" point guard, does a lot with the ball, a tremendous athlete with the ball in his hands. Was just offered by Indiana earlier this week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. There are some connections from the IU assistants to some of his coaches at the AAU level and high school level. So if something happens there, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of that 2023 class kind of pans out, because you already have two guards in Ja'Kai Newton and Gabe Cupps. Obviously, we know Mike Woodson's pushing extremely hard for more versatile backcourt players. That's what you would get with him at 6'5", but they still need to address the front court issue, because regardless of what happens with Trace Jackson Davis this year, he's not going to be back the year after, and Race Thompson's going to be gone, and then you're stuck to Jordan Geronimo, Malik Renault, and Logan Duncombe if those three stay. So you need to shore up that front court, and that's what they're trying to do with Arrington Page, but still prioritizing a lot of the backcourt players here. I would say in the next two classes.
Well, I'm with Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com. We're going to take a quick break. I am at the Big Ten Golf Championship, coming to you from the Pete Dye Course at Fred Slick's Resort and Casino in beautiful Fred Slick, Indiana. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Comfort food with a Southern charm. We're back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington. All right, there's not really any more recruiting stuff, is there?
I mean, not a ton. Right?
I mean, the only reason I asked that is because I don't want to make John mad and change subjects, because I'm getting ready to.
You're not going to make me mad. That's the clip right there what we just did.
Well, here's another one. This may be another one, though.
Okay.
And I'm going to do this subject with Zach too, though. But the NIL situation, the Miami situation.
I'll probably use it for Zach then, so we have two different guests for clips. If you're going to do the same thing with him.
Well, you never know. It's different, but we'll see. Yeah, and that's funny. That is funny.
It's interesting. I think a lot of people are very hesitant to get involved with that, because that opens up a really dark hole.
Well, it's the very things that we've been talking about, and it's coming. It didn't take long to come to fruition.
Yep.
And the Miami player was complaining about not getting enough NIL money and says transfer.
He led, he was the guy that led them was one of their leaders last year, and they bring Nigel Pacquiao with that big sweet ass $800,000 deal, and I don't know what kind of deal the other dude's got, but it is obviously not close to that.
Yeah, no.
Here we go. No, when I said here we go, I didn't mean.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you know what? Hey,
hey,
I've got to try to sign in. That's why I lost you a minute ago. I don't see any of the comments or anything.
Oh, you're not signed in.
Okay, there
He still has about a minute, and if not, then if he has trouble getting back in, then I'll just introduce what you all were going to talk about.
Yeah, that's fine. Kind of an abrupt end. All right, there for him.
It's just another day with Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Absolutely.
Someone says Happy Hanukkah. I can't tell if it's a joke or not, but it sounds funny.
My guess is because I'm never logged in, but I can still see the comments. I think he just has it pulled up on the private chat, so he doesn't see the comments, and instead of just clicking on comments.
Gosh, that could be it. Oh, here we go.
Hey,
Is it fixed, Jim?
I can see everything now. Hello, everybody.
All right, perfect. Here we go. 10 seconds.
On a beautiful Southern Indiana spring night. Let's kick summer off early. For more information, go to the Courtroom Sports Grill Facebook page.
This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. I am coming to you from the Big Ten Men's Golf Championship at the Pete Dye Course at French Lick's Resort and Casino in beautiful French Lick, Indiana. Highest point in Indiana. Second highest point, really, but we're calling it the highest point. Welcome back. It's a relatively nice day out there. It's for those guys. It's going to be really, as Coach Mike Mayer from Indiana was on earlier, said it's pretty perfect out there. It's the temperatures are, it's in like probably the upper 60s. So it ought to be fun. Maybe I'll, if they need a sixth, I'll have to jump in. If only if they were playing scramble, baby. Only if we were scrambling. Oh, daggone it. There was one other thing I was going to say before I got into this. We were talking about it in the break, and I forgot now. Daggone. I mentioned that CJ Gunn doesn't get a lot of pub, and someone mentioned that we kind of forgot to mention Banks. Banks is no slouch here either. He's a player.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I didn't include him in that kind of front court situation is he's trending more of, I would say, more of a perimeter player. So when you look at him as true back to the basket or down low, he's not going to be able to fully guard a Big Ten power forward, like a true power forward, right? He'll have the defensive ability to switch out on the perimeter. But when you're thinking about true, kind of Big Ten or college basketball bigs, right? You don't want to go into a season with just, even if you do include Caleb Banks, Logan Duncombe, Jordan Geronimo, and Malik Renault, you need a little bit more size and kind of rim protection presence than just that, especially when you don't really know what you have with Logan Duncombe yet. Malik Renault, obviously super talented 5-star incoming recruit, but hasn't played a second of college basketball, and neither has Caleb Banks either. So you need a little bit more, I would say, depth there, definitely, but just a little bit more true kind of on the block forward positioning there to kind of shore up that front court.
Yesterday a story broke that is something that you've heard people talk about. I've heard, is there going to be dissension on the teams when this person, this guy? I'm like, well, no, it's kind of real life, but this is a different situation. This is not a guy that was on the team already. This is someone that they brought in. I'm talking about Nigel Pack's deal at Miami. I think Life Wallet is the company that he signed this massive $800,000 NIL deal in a car. But then the guard, I think his last name's Wong, right?
Isaiah Wong, yeah.
He's pissed. He's like, wait a minute. I let him to the freaking Final Eight or the Elite Eight. What about me? So he wanted to renegotiate because he also had a deal with them. Well, there was a response from the owner of that, and it was, oh, daggone it. Keep losing stuff. There we go. The response, Isaiah is under contract. Well, first of all, Isaiah's Wong will enter the NCAA transfer portal tomorrow if his NIL compensation is increased. His agent, Adam Pappas, told ESPN. Isaiah would like his NIL to reflect that he was a leader of an Elite Eight team, etc. Then Gavoni also then reported that Isaiah is under contract, billionaire John Ruiz told ESPN. He has been treated by Life Wallet exceptionally well. If that is what he decides, I wish him well. However, I do not, in caps, renegotiate ! Surprises me because there are so many players that would love to play for the U. Well, even if he leaves, he's under contract. Now, I don't know what that entails. But there you go. There's the first of it. That's the first volley. I mean, that's not going to be the end. And before I was like, no, that's not going to be a problem because but it might be a problem just not within the team so much, but within the top players, the top 2 or 3 guys. If he's getting this, I'm like, why am I not getting that? Now the 5, 6, 7 guys, I get that. Hey, these are the elite, and there's the rest of us. But there could be, I can see a lot of dissension between the elite guys.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially if it's coming from the same kind of sponsor there, and then the same company that's paying both of them, right? That's a really tricky situation, especially when you're bringing in someone who wasn't on the team last year, and that was a big reason why Nigel Pack ended up choosing Miami, right? You didn't hear about anything like that with Purdue, which was kind of the perceived leader going into some of these other visits. So when you put this all together, I mean, it's a tricky situation. It's something that I think a lot of people obviously thought would happen. I don't know if they thought it would happen kind of right now, because we really didn't have any of these situations throughout the first, month of the offseason here and of the transfer portal. So I think it's kind of interesting that it happens at this point now, with 2 days before the transfer portal deadline kind of ends. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Isaiah Wong does. He obviously a really tremendous player, a very valuable player for that team. If you bring him back with the pieces that they do bring back already, with the pieces that they've added through the transfer portal, Miami would be a really, really, really dangerous team next year. Still going to be a really good team regardless, but I think it's going to be interesting to see if Lifelong does kind of bend over a little bit for Isaiah Wong, a guy who has now been there multiple years,
especially if these deals are really far apart.
Yeah, I mean, it would be.
Why did they? Here's the problem. Why did they announce it? What if they had kept their mouth shut? There wouldn't be this issue.
Well, I don't think they
somebody did.
Well, obviously someone did, but you know who did, and that was probably someone on Nigel Pack's side, to
his agent,
to kind of show what
I can do for you. What I can do for you.
And so when you look at it that way, obviously that kind of put Miami in a little bit of a tricky situation, because this is, like we said, the first time that this has kind of happened. So it'll be interesting to see who wins out here. I think the statement from the CEO there of Life Wallet may be kind of the end all be all. It doesn't sound like he's going to do a whole lot for Isaiah Wong, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in that way. It'll also be interesting to see what happens if Isaiah Wong does go into the transfer portal, to see what schools reach out to him, because you've put it out there that you're basically just going to whatever team's going to pay you the most, and not be there truly as a kind of full on 100% team player, a lot more for himself. So it would be interesting to see the field that would come after him, because there's no denying his talent, and there's no denying what he would bring to a team. But it's just that fine line of, do you want to get in that kind of arms race and set that standard of, hey, we're now going to pay the most for any recruit or any transfer to come to our school, whether it's for 1 year or 3 years.
But that's where we're going anyway. I mean, I think we all know that. We kind of knew that anyway for the top programs. And I'm not talking about just basketball, football, of course. That's exactly where it is. Who's the highest bidder? I'm sure there are some guys that the school still plays a part in it. Indiana basketball is still going to play a part in that. I mean, the NIL is a big part of it as well. So don't confuse that. I saw a comment. from Tim. He says that if an IU player leaves under the Hoosiers for good on NIL, they would forfeit part of their compensation of the NIL deal. I don't know where that information came from because I don't know how they can do that. You cannot tie it to a school. It cannot be tied to that you have to go to this school. The NIL, it's a separate, it's just an NIL deal. Now, when you're doing your stuff, it could be related to the school or the charities, but you cannot use it as an inducement to go to or stay at the school. So I don't know that that's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some fine-tuned details in there that they probably work out behind the scenes.
Well, what you do is you put them in situations, Alec, where they have to be here to make appearances.
Exactly.
If they were someplace else, it's like that's going to be very difficult for you to come back here once a week if you're in Wichita or whatever.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's why you kind of put you don't necessarily say straight up that, hey, if you leave, your deal's done. But if you can't do these appearances, you can't uphold these standards that we had in this agreement, then you're going to be basically ending it if you do leave. So that, again, they put it in, like we just said, kind of the details of it, where if you leave, then it's going to be difficult to kind of deal with what comes with it. But yeah, I mean, I think this is just we've always heard that this stuff goes on, behind the scenes, but this is the first time that we actually have a figure amount in kind of a bidding war. So that's when I say it's going to be interesting to see what kind of standard the team sets, because now as a recruit, if you're saying, hey, well, Isaiah Wong wanted at least, $800,000 for 2 years, or at least $400,000 for 1 year, I think I'm better than him. Where's that line going to be drawn now for that team that goes out and pays for him? Because now we know how much he's going to get. So that just kind of sets a really dirty water for future recruits who will now have the upper hand when it comes to that program. And that's why I'm very interested to see if they are able to work something out, or if he does go into the portal, which programs do reach out, because I think there would be a lot that would be very, very turned off by his actions. But then again, there's still some schools that would obviously, like a Kentucky or potentially, like in Arkansas or Alabama or some of these other ones that just have loads of money that would love to throw at a kid for a year, that I'm sure would still get involved no matter what.
And then we've got someone like Jalen Hood-Schifino, who committed to Indiana before Hoosiers for Good was a thing, before the NIL really got going. And he's not an Indiana kid, so there's not that tie. I'm pretty certain that he has an NIL deal with Hoosiers for Good now, I would imagine. But he signed on before they even did that. So that, does that give him less bargaining power or more because they don't want him to leave?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably all, per, case by case basis. But I think a guy like that who you're probably going to have for 2 years, I think that's what a lot of people are kind of expecting. And whatever happens after that is kind of an added bonus. But if you can get a kid for 2 years, right, that's something that I think as some sort of endorsement you would take as a company. And so I think there's probably some bigger, not to say Hoosiers for Good isn't kind of the sexy appeal. But when you think about some of the other kind of businesses and companies and routes that he could go in Bloomington or just in Indianapolis in general, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And Indiana's really, they haven't announced a lot of these bigger deals. It's been the player themselves that have come out and kind of said that. So,
well, we haven't had any Indiana players say anything to my knowledge.
Well, no, but they come out and they put the posts on Twitter or Instagram, and promoting a certain product, and they'll
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I thought you meant their deal.
No. And that's the thing, right? Some of these schools will come out and kind of say, hey, this person has now signed an NIL deal with this business. Indiana really hasn't done that. They've kind of let the players run with it as they may. And Jalen Hood-Schifino, a guy who really isn't on social media a whole lot, just created a Twitter last week, and kind of made a big deal out of it that way. But he's a guy who likes to kind of fly under the radar a little bit when it comes to that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if that never really comes out until maybe end of next year or anything like that, once he's actually on campus for a while. But I think you'll see multiple small deals for a lot of these incoming guys at Indiana that I think will kind of build up financially. But it's going to be interesting. It's now this kind of sets that precedent of really no turning back for NIL at this point.
Well, brother, I appreciate you joining us today. As always, make sure you go to thehoosier.com for all complete coverage and updates on Indiana's recruiting. They will be up at the Bill Hensley Run and Slam in Fort Wayne this weekend with double coverage up there. So make sure you tune in. They'll have a live link and everything else, correct?
Yep. Yeah, everything will be up on the site starting this afternoon.
And give Alec Lasley a follow on Twitter and myself at Jim Coyle ISB. Thanks, Alec, brother. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
You bet. Hey, we've got lots more coming up. Zach Osterman from the Indianapolis Star is going to join us next. Coming to you from the Big Ten Men's Golf Championship here at the Pete Dye Course at Fritz Lick's Resort and Casino. Back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
Morning, Zach.
Hey, buddy. How are you, sir?
Oh, he's muted. He muted himself by accident. On the on your little square at the bottom. There we go.
I'm muted. I always mute myself when I'm not on, just so something happens behind me, my dogs or something.
How's the babe?
Yeah, he's fine. He's in daycare now, so.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I don't know. Everything's just kind of settling into a routine again, which is nice.
Yes.
How you been? Sorry about this week.
Oh, yeah, don't ever worry about it. I'm down at Fritz Lick, the Big Ten Golf Championships going on.
I didn't realize it was in French Lick.
I didn't either. I kind of found out late, but I'm like, it's because I have a good relationship with these guys. I'm like, hey, let me come down here and do the show. But it's not. I was trying to give the great background, and the contrast is not working out.
I've never played that course. I mean, I'm not anywhere near good enough to play that course, but
none of us are good enough, Zach. But I'll get you out here sometime. It's just like heaven, but it's one of those you just got to stay on the fairway.
Well,
man,
you can say that about any golf course I've ever played on. Trust me.
Have you played the Ross?
No.
It's harder in a different way. They're completely different. This is the beauty of this thing is amazing. Yeah, I just love being here. It's the second highest point in the state too.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. The other is some coal mine or something up north of Richmond. I just found out.
Huh. Interesting.
Man, I was looking in the Star right now, just looking at all of these Indiana guys in the portal.
Who's in the portal?
All these Indiana. It's a story about the Indiana guys. It's crowded with the deadline looming. You look at where Indiana natives have transferred.
I got you. Yeah.
Kyle did it. Nigel Pack, Christian Lander, Rob Finnessy, Dre Davis, Ali, Sanders Jr., Cousinard, Hunter Jr. Now that one surprised me.
All right, here we go.
today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It's Friday. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the beautiful Pete Dye course here at Fritz Six Golf and Resort. The Big Ten Men's Championship going on this weekend. Zach Osterman from the Indianapolis Star joins me now. Zach, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
Cannot complain. It's not raining, so the weather's warm enough. I'm not freezing. I'm just sitting here looking over Kyle Nedrip's article he has in the Star about where all the Indiana natives have transferred in basketball, and I'm just like shaking my head at the at these names. Nigel Pack, of course, we'll talk about. Christian Lander went to Western. Rob Finney off to Cincy. Dre Davis. These are all stars. Ali, Mike Saunders Jr. is another. Eric Hunter Jr. Jalen Blackman. Luke Brown transferred from Stetson to Ball State. Now he's leaving Ball State. A scorecard won't even help anymore. It's hard to keep up with where anybody is.
Yeah, I mean, this is a new world, and we've kind of seen it coming in patches in the last few years, and obviously I think NIL has also kind of introduced different layers to this. I heard you talking a little bit about NIL before I came on. I mean, this is where we are, and I when stuff like this happens, you get people say this is the worst thing that's ever happened to college athletics, or this is the best thing that's ever happened to college athletics, or whatever. I think about the old parable about the wise man in the village, and my son has I'm sure it's told in different ways, but it's in a children's book my son has, where this little boy wants a horse and he gets a horse, and everyone in the village says how wonderful the little boy got his horse. And then one day he's riding the horse and it throws him off and he breaks both his arms, and everyone says how terrible, the little boy broke both his arms. And then a few weeks later, a war starts and the army comes through and conscripts all the young men in the village, but they don't take the boy because he's got broken arms, and everyone says how wonderful, the boy doesn't have to fight in the war. And every time the wise old man says, yeah, we'll see, we'll see. And the point is there's intended consequences, there's unintended consequences, but it's never the end of the movie. It's always just kind of a question of what's next. And, we'll sit here and talk this year about, the whole Miami NIL thing that's come out in the last couple days, and look at all these players in the portal. And then 2 years from now, in some shape or form, that stuff will get resolved and we'll be talking about something else. And it's just about figuring out how to navigate it while it's there.
Yeah. Is it just because it's new and no one really knows, there's no parameters? It is the Wild Wild West, but do you think this will settle down, or is this just how it's going to be?
I mean, I think it will settle down in the sense that we will find a way of, not you and me, it's not our job. Somehow or another, college athletics will find a way of making it standard operating procedure. Not to get too philosophical when I feel like I already have, but human beings prefer order to chaos, and college coaches, you and I both know in particular, prefer order to chaos, and they'll find a way. There will be reforms, there will be adjustments and tweaks, and we'll find out that certain things, certain unintended consequences, emerge from X, Y, or Z. And so we'll adjust the way it works. I know there's already some proposals kind of coming down the pipeline about basically saying players can only transfer within a 2 or 3 month window. That probably refines some of it, and gets us maybe closer to a place we're comfortable with. I mean, the Tony Stuckey who just commented, he's right. There will be some sort of course correction. It will happen. You will not meet a larger, more universal group of control freaks than college basketball coaches. They will not allow this to just spiral endlessly out of control. But we'll always just kind of adjust. Things will change. And like I tweeted this last night again around the Miami NIL story. And did you talk about it before I came on? This basically, there's a player at Miami who's saying if I don't get, double my NIL deal, I'm going into the portal. Well, the flip side is, and I say this as someone who has written pretty extensively about athletes' rights and believes, broadly speaking, athletes should have more rights than they even have now. But if this is going to turn into free agency at that level, then athletes need to be prepared for it to go the other way and for coaches to be empowered to start cutting kids more than maybe they were 5-10 years ago. And that's not an intended consequence of all this. When we brought this in a year ago, no one would have thought about that. But we introduce a reform, we see what works, we see what doesn't, we try to correct what can be corrected. It becomes part of the furniture, and then we move on.
Yeah, the Nigel Pack situation, the first of I talked with Alec briefly about it, but we've heard a lot of people talk about the fact that it's going to be a lot of jealousy between guys, and I'm like, but there probably is going to be jealousy between the elite, and here's the first example of that. Hey, he's getting this. Why am I not getting this? But the response was, hey, dude, you're under contract. You want to go? That was the response from Life Wallet. So we'll see what he does, but he's still under contract and he still has to fulfill his obligations now. And I'm going to imagine that would probably entail some appearances, which would make it very difficult for him if he's not in Miami.
Yeah. I mean, and again, this is the stuff that I think NIL is good. I think athletes, it's long overdue that athletes should be able to profit off use of their likeness. There are people who believe that just straight up employment contracts are coming to college athletics. I have always thought that the legalities of how you navigate that, how you fit that with Title IX, different things like that would just be very difficult. But I'm not saying it won't ever happen. We won't have intended for this specifically to be a consequence of NIL, but now it is. And more broadly, we will have expected that there would be unintended or unforeseen consequences we would have to navigate when they came up. And in some cases, you get some athletes who would be dealing with some unintended consequences. You make a good point about NIL and appearances and things like that. I know, for example, that the NIL deals handed out through Hoosiers for Good, the charity-based NIL collective up in Indianapolis, those run for a year, whether you're an IU athlete or not. So if Trace Jackson Davis, and I'm using him as an example because he's in the NBA draft, if he wanted to go to the draft and get, go to the G League or even the NBA, either one, let's say he winds up, I'm just making this up. Let's say he winds up catching on with the Kings. Well, he's still got, 5 figures, maybe 6 figures tied up in obligations that will require him to come back to Indiana. And that's something that players, it's a great idea when I'll just make a few $1,000s to shoot a couple YouTube commercials, sure. But when you start getting into bigger commitments, people are going to expect bigger sort of return on their investment, and it's going to have to show up. And again, if the players are going to treat it a little bit more like free agency, a little bit more like negotiation than the programs are too. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it is, and we're going to have to figure it out.
With this influx of money, and some of it is going to be substantial to some of these players, we saw during the FBI Adidas investigation, a lot of that was trying to be steer players towards financial guys. That seems like that would be a much more plausible thing now than since these guys have money. Instead of waiting on them to get money, they've got money now. What's going to keep people from going after them in that way, or is that just it's off the table? It's legal as can be now as well.
I think a lot of people would respond and say, "What was keeping them from doing that before? It just wasn't legal. You had to close the door to do it, so to speak, rather than close. You had to draw the blinds before you did it. I do think that on the balance, this is better than that. Like the IRS now gets its pound in taxes in a lot of this stuff, and it also just makes, I guess for lack of a better term, it makes everybody kind of prove who they are in the public space. What are you actually interested in? How invested are you in college athletics? Are you really just trying to buy winners? I do think that for the majority of athletes, it actually will teach a lot of good lessons about both the dollars and cents part of it, of like, I'm making money, I have to pay taxes. How do I set that up? What do I do with that money? All those different kinds of things. And then also the wider implications, making connections, with people who, going ahead and making connections with business leaders who might be able to help you later in life, exposing yourself to, some really important kind of economic, what's the word I'm looking for? Economic principles like return on investment, understanding what that means when it directly relates to you, understanding, having to familiarize yourself with some of this stuff earlier than you might otherwise have to. And I know that like Indiana is not the only school. There are a lot of schools that have built in even more financial training for athletes, because they're saying, well, all of a sudden these kids are going to get more money, that we need to prepare them for that. I think all that's good. And I think the vast majority of it will be good. And because they are such outliers, what will happen is we will wind up highlighting the small number of cases that feel extreme or maybe untoward, like what's happening in Miami. And I'm not even saying what's happening in Miami is bad, but it does feel extreme. And we'll wind up highlighting that because it's a big dollar figure, it's a good headline, and it's unusual because most cases aren't going to work out quite that way.
Somebody Bill just put up a stat: 283 players total into the NBA draft. I mean, think about it. How many guys are going to actually make it?
And I think that's just early entrants too, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that includes senior. I mean, I guess most guys are early entrants this year technically because of the COVID year, but there will still be a number of them that wouldn't have any college eligibility left. So,
well, we'll certainly see what Trace Jackson Davis does. We've got to still continue to wait for that decision, and haven't heard a lot from Dexter Dennis since then. That has gone kind of quiet. Makes you wonder what they're waiting on. But what's up next for you?
Just kind of building into the offseason, had a bit of a roster reset because it does feel like absent Trace, and kind of the question of will there be an open scholarship for somebody, whether it's Dexter Dennis or someone else. A lot of other stuff has settled out. The guys that we thought were going to transfer have transferred. Maybe any guy that we would have had questions about, like a Tamar Bates or a Jordan Geronimo, they've confirmed they're coming back. Race Thompson's confirmed he's coming back. So just kind of a reset of the roster there. And I don't know when it's publishing, but just kind of something to look back at, kind of the good, the bad, and I think the last subhead I used or deck head I used in the story was where the jury's still out after a year under Mike Woodson. What went well, what's still not fixed, or what's still a problem, and where maybe are we still kind of in, let's wait and see where this goes next mode.
Looking forward to it. Zach with the Indianapolis Star. Make sure you give him a follow and read that. His content is excellent. Be a subscriber. I am. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you always, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, brought to you by Rebacks Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want and not. Hey, we're back to the golf club here at the beautiful Pete Dye course at Fritz Slick Resort Casino right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Thank you, though.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Wild and wacky week. Oh, you can't even hear me right now.
Yeah, but never do. Oh, I got to text this dude back. What a full show, man.
I know we still got Mo Creek after this too.
I know. I am kind of cold. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, I did bring my jacket. Let me put that booger on. Put my little jacket on, get warm.
You got all the gear out today.
I'm telling you. How is it out there?
You talking to me?
How's it out there?
Oh, really? I've been up here.
Oh, you haven't been out there yet?
I think they're on the third hole.
Oh, those are good looking hats.
I'll get you some.
They should sell the shit out of those. Tom.
You got 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. Tom Allen is available for a one-on-one from 12:30 to 1 on May 18th if you are available. We'll be available. Yes.
Tommy Allen.
Thank you. I got to put that in the phone, though. Don't let me forget.
Does he mean like whenever you interpret that, or you saying for a
Okay,
segment or
19.
just in a private interview?
Well, either. Same difference.
Okay.
May 18th. Got to schedule this. Where's my damn calendar?
We're driving back from Sand Valley that day
Where's Sand Valley?
up in Wisconsin.
Ah, Wisconsin. You have to
All right,
home
here
with
we go,
some
Jim.
straights also.
A half hour or so.
Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you today from the Big Ten Men's Golf Championship at the unbelievably beautiful Pete Dye course at French Licks Resort and Casino. And I'm joined by Brendan Sweeney. He is the media relations director. He is all kinds of things, but most importantly, the grand poobah of all things that are fun here. And another event. You guys have hosted so many big time events. It's like this is second nature to you guys.
Tell you what, thanks for coming down, man.
Hey, I love it. This is the most beautiful place in the state of Indiana.
And we're overlooking the first hole, the second hole, the third hole, the fourth hole, the fifth hole, and a 6 tee.
Sitting here at the upper level of the mansion, that was the original home of this place, right?
Yeah, this was Tom Taggart was the governor of the state, or the mayor of Indianapolis, and he owned the resort in the 20s and 30s. And this building was built in 1929.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy.
Throughout the years, in this building alone, in 1931, they had the Democratic Governors Convention here. And FDR declared his candidacy in this, probably right here, where we're sitting right now.
There's some history for you. Wow, that's crazy. And then, of course, over at the Ross course, there's lots of history over there as well, with the championship being played back in the day.
1924 PGA Championship won by Walter Hagen. Sir Walter Hagen. He got knighted over in England.
Is that one of his clubs, actual clubs that's in there?
It's saying there's an old putter, and they trace the roots back. It can't
officially,
maybe, but yeah, it's rumored to be.
Oh,
and that's the story that we're sticking with.
But the best story is actually the bar in the where you lunch area.
Hagen's restaurant.
Well, you tell the story.
So we have a huge bar. It's about 35 feet long. That when we did the renovation to the property back in 2007, they went up to the Chicago Stockyards and found this old bar in the Restoration Hardware place, whoever was up there, architectural hardware, and they extracted it. And in the bar is an arrow about halfway down that points to the door. Rumor has it Al Capone carved it in there, and no one was supposed to sit to the left of that arrow between that arrow and the door in case some bad guy came in. But they also say that Al Capone spent a lot of time down here. So they had, they had Tom Taggart. There were 13 casinos in town. Prohibition's going on. The Pluto Water Company was across the street. So they were bottling water in the daytime. Capone's up here making booze. Taggart, the guy that owns this place, has a cottage, a house just like this one in Hyannisport, and their next door neighbors with Joe Kennedy, who was a bootlegger. You do the math.
It's an incredible.
Yeah, Southern history, Southern Indiana history is alive and well.
Never stop, nonstop. Here at the Pete Dye course, also the Ross course up the road, and you've got the Valley course here as well.
1907 Tom Bendelow, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's great.
Yes, it's so much history. It's unbelievable. The beauty, though. The casino's open fully now. Everything is
no
wired.
smoking though. Can't smoke in there.
Well,
I go outside.
That's
a couple.
Nobody should be smoking inside anyway.
Got it.
I agree with that. But there's so much for people to do here now that everybody can come. It was kind of really curtailed during COVID.
Yeah.
But now it's wide open. People come out, get out here on the golf course. What's the next event besides this one coming up?
We have the Indiana Amateur coming up in a couple weeks, and then we have the Indiana All Ages Junior Tournament in June, and then the new edition of the Epson Tour, which was the old Symetra Tour that we had at the Ross. They have a new sponsor. It's called the Epson Tour. It's going to be played here at the Pete Dye Golf Course the first week of August.
Now, is that just the one run below PGA Tour?
LPGA.
Oh, so
LPGA.
Corn Ferry's still going, right?
Yeah. And Corn Ferry Championship's going to be a Victoria National again coming up in August as well. So
very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of life going on down here. I mean, our team is excited. We're a little short on employees, so if you come down, pack your patience. And if you're looking for a job,
or bring an application.
Yeah, bring an application. We love to have you come work down here. It's a blast.
Hey, if you want to work on a golf course, not just a golf course,
the golf course,
some of the most beautiful in the country. How have you been?
Great. Got through the winter. Kids are doing great. Family's doing great. I got no complaints. I get to show up here to work and talk golf, talk Big Ten golf. After 8 years of being absent from the Big Ten, we had the championships here in 12, 13, and 14.
Why such a lapse? There's other courses that have come along, I guess.
No, we had
the other events you've been hosting. Yeah, you've had
in 15 we had the Senior PGA, won by Colin Montgomery, and then we went down the road with the Legends Championship, which became the Senior LPGA Championship, and then we also had all the Indiana Amateurs, the Indiana Open. I mean, it's not a lack of not loving the Big Ten, which we do. It was a different way just to spread our love out elsewhere. So we have the Big Ten Network. That's what I was just doing here. They're down here filming, and they're putting together a highlight reel that will be on Big Ten Network in about a week or so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or plans for future big time events here? I mean, I know we're
always looking, man.
I know you're always looking. I didn't know if there was anything that was in the kittle down the road.
Well, I'll tell you, we're talking to the USGA, and we're talking to a couple other tours. It's a long term push. I mean, if you look at the USGA, they're booking stuff right now in 2040, 2045, 2050, and what they're doing is they're doing a rotation with major clubs. So they want to keep it like the British Open, like the Open is. So you're looking at Pinehurst, you're looking at Pebble Beach, you're looking at Shinnecock, you're looking at New York, a lot of places there. But so there may be a couple opportunities down the road for the USGA. Maybe a U.S. Amateur would be perfect here. But my job is to get the stuff on TV and get it on the radio. So if it doesn't come with TV or radio, I'm not going to do it. So,
and this location different probably than a lot of the other like Whistling Straits or whatever because of where it's located. But it's really not difficult to get to from anywhere. It's just tucked out here. This beautiful. I mean, I have a beautiful drive down from Bloomington. It took me an hour.
Yeah, and with Highway 69 open now, I flew in. I live in Orlando. I flew in last Sunday morning. Had a 7:00 flight. I was walking in the door here at noon, so it's not bad at all.
Crazy, yeah. You can get it from all over, and do they have any specials for guys during the summer at the Ross course or anything like that?
We have packages. Yeah, just go to the website, whatever fits your boat.
What is the official website?
If you can't figure that out.
Well, fritzig.com, that's what I say. I mean, I always tell people always ask me, hey, what time's the game? And I'm like, obviously you have Google internet. Use Google.
Yeah, Google it.
Google that
it's
stuff, man.
FrenchLick.com, obviously. And, you know, we're just happy, you know, the Indiana Golf Association's down here. They're towing the line with the rules officials. And you had Coach Mike on from IU this morning. He's a great guy, good friend. There's some great horses. There's some great history. And it's pretty cool that, you know, it's been 8 years since our last event that we held with the Big Ten. And now, like, players are on the PGA Tour. You know, Adam Shank, Tyler Duncan, just name it, Thomas Gentry, Thomas Peters from Illinois, Luke Guthrie. And I go to these events also, and it's like, hey, Sweeney, well, you know, Chase Wright. You know, we saw him. He's a good IU guy. Jeff Overton, just to name a few. But, you know, these are the future stars that are out here today. You don't know who's going to make it. There's, you know, the U.S. Amateur champion for Michigan State, James Pyatt is his name. It's a great kid. And, you know, hopefully they shoot lights out too. This is going to be a tight field. I mean, right now, there's not a breath of air out here. So I bet you the numbers are going to be really low.
Yeah, it's the conditions are exceptional. And Mike said that earlier. He said it's perfect.
Yeah. You know, I've never really sat in this particular position at the house.
Looking back and forth, yeah.
For an extended period of time. But, you know,
it
on
is
the
amazing.
back, we have 6 holes that we're looking at. And I'm looking through the window up front here.
I can see Pete.
I got 7, I got 9, I got 17, 16, 18, 11, 13, and 12. I could see from here without even like moving my head.
It was planned pretty well. Very, very lucky. Indiana is lucky. They have 3 of the premier courses in the United States, and these are 2 of them. And you add Victoria National into that.
Oh, yeah, the new IU course. And then you look at Purdue.
Purdue's
They got
great
two
courses.
great courses up there. Chariot's Run down in Southern Indiana. Fuzzy's courses are down there. There's some power pack golf in Indiana, you know. And
Don't you guys have a circuit?
Yeah, we have the Pete Dye Golf Trail, but I want to make I want to call it the I-60 and then FORE, the I-64 corridor. So you start off in, you know, Louisville,
Yeah.
and you play, you know, Fuzzy's places. Then you go down to Chariots, come here to our place, and you wind up in Victoria. Sultan's Run. Sultan's Run's another banger. It's a great track.
I played it. Very
Yeah.
beautiful. Very, very beautiful. You going to the Schnitzelbach when you're done?
Well, actually, the Schnitz is doing the catering here today.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I got to eat down and get some whatever German food.
Exactly. None of us know what the
Strudel.
answer would be.
Strudel and
That
sprackle
comes
and-
at the end. Well, I know you're busy. You got to get back out to it, man. But thank you so much for stopping
Yeah,
by.
buddy.
Appreciate you as
Yeah.
always.
Go
And,
Hoosiers.
have
Go
fun.
Boilermakers, man.
You made it up to a game this year, I think, right?
Yeah, I made the Ohio State game.
That was a
We
tough
turned
one.
out a victory. That was a victory.
Yeah.
And then had the wonderful opportunity of leaving Bloomington the day after. I think it was the 8th of January. I picked up a car with my son, and we drove back to Orlando. Caught a blizzard on the way. It took 7.5 hours to make it to Nashville. I was like, bad planning. And I was reminded of that yesterday.
Oh,
So that's a raw memory.
yeah.
Yeah.
Brendan Sweeney joining me here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're coming to you, of course, from the Big Ten's men's golf championship from the Pete Dye course at French Licks Resort and Casino. We're back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more
Thanks,
Indiana
brother.
Sports Beat
All right,
Radio
I'll
with
See you
Jim.
in a little
Are
bit.
you bouncing around?
Yeah, where are you going to be?
Take
Bouncing around.
this.
Yeah, because I don't have mine yet.
You're
They
visiting
were supposed to give me one.
Catch me if you can.
Where are you just going to be? Are you on a cart?
Yeah, but I'll be. They're coming up. 13 off and 5 now.
Damn, they're that far.
Yeah, they're on 5.
Man,
Yeah, it's an hour. Fucking
I thought they started at 9:45.
9.
Oh, Indiana tees off at 9:45.
Yeah,
The other guys teed off.
yeah. I think they're gonna skin this place alive today.
How many groups are there? Like 5? There'd be 5 groups in. 5. There's 5 teams, 3 of 3 men. 15 groups, right?
There's. Well, they have split tees as well. I'll get you a sheet.
I got the
golf set.
thing you sent me on the text. The pairings. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jim, that was your last break. So whenever Maurice comes on, I'll just bring him on. Because you kind of braked a little early, but that's no big deal.
Yeah, I couldn't see.
Is the
It's all
problem.
good. I kind of figured, I was like, if he goes to break here, that's fine.
Should I turn this back around the way it was?
However you want, it doesn't matter.
Well, how bad does it look this way?
It doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look. I mean, it doesn't look amazing either way. That's why I say it doesn't make a difference, really.
I just wish you all could see that. It's the beauty out there. I mean, yeah, and like he said, I'm sitting on the veranda of the old Taggart mansion, where they would look out. God, I wish you all could see that. I mean, it looks so much better now that it's a golf course than it would have back when they were here. It would have just been trees, but in this big ass backyard. But then you look out the front window, like he said, it's just amazing. You can just see. Oh,
You may want to text Mo, let him know you're ready for him if you want.
remind
Is it
him.
just him today? We don't need to send the other guy, right? That we had last time.
What other guy? Oh,
The
Joey.
Medora guy.
No, he's fine.
Okay.
Oh, God damn it. Where's my. Jesus. Maur.
Yeah, it's great.
Maurice Creek. You ready? Question mark. Guarantees not. I bet he forgot.
The link's in his email. It's whenever he's ready to go get it. All right, here we go.
Monday through Friday. If we're
Come on
not
in,
on a station where you
Are you
live,
one of
we
them?
should be. Ask for
Go
Indiana
on.
Sports
I'm just going to let you
Beat
come
Radio.
on. Go right ahead, brother.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar.
Yeah, you can sit down right
Now
now.
back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more
Frank,
Indiana
what's your
Sports
last name?
Beat
I forgot.
Radio with Jim
Yes,
Coyle,
that's right.
presented by
Well, I
Endeavor
forgot.
Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here from the Big Ten Men's Championship being held this year at the Pete Dye Course at beautiful French Lick, Indiana. I'm slide on in here.
There you go.
Frank,
Hey.
joined now by Frank Bassett, PGA Golf Talk. But you got several things going on. What all do you do
A lot
for
of stuff. We, of course, the PGA Tour brought us into their fold with PGAtour.com, where we live. And Golf Talk America is that show. Then we have PGA Tour Countdown, which is the pre-tournament show that we do on Wednesday nights. And we do the approach shot, and those weekend golf guys are all part of the Golf Talk America network. And so we're part of Sports Illustrated now, too. SportsIllustrated.com promotes us, as well as Morning Read, which is Buffalo Communications, and the Tour and the LPGA. So we're doing a ton of stuff.
A lot of crossover there. Every time I see you, we're here, which is great.
Yeah.
This is a great place to draw into, and I've been talking about it. Just every time I'm here, it doesn't matter what for. I just love to just walk around this place and just look at it. And Brendan was just with me, Brendan Swinney, and he made the point. He says, I don't think that I've ever sat in this position here at this.
This is a great
Because
spot.
he's sitting there looking, he goes, I can
Yeah.
see, and he starts counting the holes off. Then he looks out there and starts counting them off. And I'm like going, yeah, he's right. Can you imagine? I mean, this place has been here since the turn of the previous century.
Absolutely.
Um,
The Taggart Mansion.
Yeah, it's just crazy, the history, like I keep saying, but the beauty is staggering what they've done here. You travel around all the different PGA events.
I do. We go to about 32 a year where we're live at the events. And we set up the show with backdrops, and we usually in a hospitality venue at the PGA Tour events or LPGA events. A lot of times, like with Graham McDowell, we always go do a show at Nona Blue for him. Anytime the Players Championship, of course, is in Jacksonville, or Ponte Vedra Beach, I should say. So yeah, we're out all the time, and of course we do the Masters. We do all the majors and the Masters every year, and we did a special deal this year. It was kind of cool. Sports Illustrated wanted us to do live from Augusta every night after the rounds, and we would have a different sports writer from the Golf Writers Association of America that I would interview in a living room type set. We had a set up like a living room.
Hello, friends.
Pretty much. It was kind of like that, yeah. But it was a lot of fun to do. The only problem, Jim,
was when I'm at the Masters, I usually do a morning show.
Right.
Well, they have me do a morning show, then a noon show, and then I would do some cut-ins in the afternoon this year, and then I would have to film the show at night. So
That's an all-day affair, man.
Well, usually I would do a morning show and go to the bar.
Right.
That didn't happen, pal. I mean, I had to work.
What's the drink? I know the pimento cheese is the thing. Is there a drink at the Masters?
Not really anything in particular. A lot of beer is consumed at the Masters.
Oh, I know that. Absolutely. I didn't know if there was, the Derby's got the mint julep, but I knew that, I guess the pimento cheese is their thing. You were obviously.
Egg salad, pimento cheese are the big sandwiches at the Masters, and a lot of beer, and people walk around with a stack of cups like this because they save all the cups.
Oh, the souvenir cups.
Yeah. So I drink vodka cranberry / orange juice. That's the day drink. The night drink is Swan Leather.
There you go.
And the morning drink is Pepto-Bismol. So there you go.
What was it like this year being down there for that Masters?
It was the coldest Masters I think I've ever been to. The weather was good in the practice round, and then it just went south. And it was windy and cold, and that wind was howling on that golf course, and it was playing havoc with all the players. It was a tough Masters really to cover this year. It just because of the weather mainly. It was different with Tiger there. The excitement level was way out of sight. And then it was, and as I said in some of our shows, I said, well, this week it's Tiger. And that was Wednesday and Thursday. And then it was Scotty Cam. And then it was Scotty Cam. And then it was Cam throws up in his mask on number 12. And now it's Scotty. So it went from Tiger to Scotty Cam to Scotty. And it was exciting to see Scotty Scheffler because Jimmy won. In 7 weeks, he won 4 tournaments.
That's fire.
Crazy.
He's on fire. It's a big tournaments. Speaking of Tiger, he showed that he can play, but is it just he's got to get through the physical part of this, or is he going to be able to get back?
Yeah, absolutely. I was there in the clubhouse when he came off the course on Saturday, and he was walking using his putter as a walker.
As a cane.
And then Sunday, I was in the clubhouse when he came in. And he walked right past me. He said hello with kind of a grimace on his face. And you could see he was in severe pain. And he had his hand on one of his friends who was helping him walk in. So, yeah, he's got some severe pain going on. But guess where he was yesterday, day before? Tulsa. He was at Southern Hills playing.
Got to do it.
Got to do it. He's going to do the PGA. And Phil's going to do the PGA. That's going to be a big story.
Well, Phil's been his own big story. Phil Mickelson. We're talking about Phil Mickelson, of course, who has had his issues with the PGA, I guess.
PGA Tour.
Yeah.
He made some comments about the tour, and then he reversed his field or tried to, and then he made some comments about the Saudi Arabians who are backing the LIV tour.
Yes, which is where the thing's being played.
But why? I said to a friend of mine who's another pro, I won't say who it is, because Phil was like off the radar. He was hiding out after all this. I said, you can insult the PGA Tour and you'll probably get slapped on the wrist, fined, and probably suspended for some tournaments. But you slander the Saudi Arabians, you better watch out.
Yeah, I asked, what was that reporter showed you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That's what I said. Journalists don't really want to cover that tournament. You say the wrong thing, it could be death.
Never thought about it.
I'm kidding, folks. I'm kidding. Okay.
Exactly.
They're pretty serious people.
Well, buddy, Frank, thanks a lot. Appreciate you. It's
Yeah.
great seeing you again always. That means that there's a big event here, and I cannot wait to get out there and start following these guys around. Indiana and their group tees off. Well, they've already teed off.
Yep.
So I'll get out there and chase those guys down. But thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank
Appreciate
you.
You Bet. Let's see. Mo Creek is not going to make it in today. It looks like I tried to get in touch with them. They've got a game tonight, I know. But the reason I wanted to get him on is because Mo is, thank you, Frank. Appreciate you, brother. Mo Creek is going to be at Cabello on Sunday, making an appearance at 1:00. He's going to have some shirts if you want to buy a shirt from him. But come on out to Cabello on Sunday at 1, or, from 1:00 on. Have yourself a meal or whatever, or just stop by and say hi. Get an autograph from him, and we will be out there on that day. I'm trying to see what time it is, John. I can't see the there we go. We got plenty of time.
There you go. We have about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. Wanted to get over to some comments since I have not been able to do. Ross says, did anybody see Jack Tuttle in the green room of the NFL draft last night? probably will never see that again. Why was he in the green room for the draft?
I don't know what exactly Ross is talking about, but I saw somebody tweeting something along those same lines, and I was very confused. So I'd like for Ross to maybe explain what he's talking about, because I didn't get that either.
Tim, heading up to Bubba's 33 in Clarksville tonight. I appreciate that. Please tell him that you heard it on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanks for the reminder on Hubers. That's right. Hubers is going to be happening again. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, did I? Did he put the date up before? It's coming up in May, right?
Yeah, it's in May, but I can't remember if he had the date up on his original post, but it's back.
Yep, there it is.
The comments.
Indiana Coaches Tour at Hubers, May 25th, 5:30 is when it starts. If you remember that, man, that was a staple that goes back to the like 1990 or so, or maybe right in there. But tickets are $50, $1,000 a table. It usually they sold over 900 tickets, expect to sell out. So Coach Woodson, Coach Allen, let's see, Don Fisher will be there to do that. So there's your opportunity to see the head coaches for Indiana back at Hubers down there in beautiful Starlight, Indiana. It is gorgeous. That's down there from where I'm from, baby. My neck of the woods. Spent a lot of time over there at Hubers. But looking forward. It's good to see that is backing up and going. But I'm sure the fans are going to love that, because that thing is always packed. It started out as a Bob Knight thing. If you remember back in the day when Bob Knight would just do his deals, that was one of them. And the Huber people, I don't know if Huber's had him down actually, or the Alumni Association down there did it. But I have a story. I was a fledgling reporter. I think I was still in school finishing up, and I was at WOKY in Louisville and had set up an interview with Bob Knight at that deal at Hubers. And we were the only ones. It was going to be awesome. We were going to be exclusive. And we get there, and this stupid guy from the damn local Alumni Association, who knew nothing about it but thought he was whatever, wouldn't let us in. So we didn't get the interview. But I made sure word got back to Coach Knight, because I think I had Kit Klingelhofer as a teacher then. And we ended up getting an interview in Assembly Hall. So there you go. It all worked out. But yeah, Huber's back. Long story around. Let's see. Any other comments I'm trying to hit on, John? Any topics that I've missed that people want to talk about here on this Friday, or as we wrap things up?
A lot. So here's one thing.
Oh yeah, the NFL draft. Yeah, the NFL draft. Thank you very much. Not just that though. The Colts. I don't think. Was it just the first round last night?
Yeah, on the first night, they only do the first round, and the Colts did not have a first round.
Right, but they have one in the next 3 rounds, I believe, and they are definitely probably going to be looking for a wide receiver. I cannot believe how long that damn thing takes.
It's drawn. Anything with it reminds me of the college football playoff. It's such a overblown out event for something that should really take about 2 to 3 hours. I don't know how long it actually took last night, but obviously people love it. NFL fans love that kind of thing. I'm not knocking it, but it's something that I feel like shouldn't take nearly as long as it actually does.
I'm trying to get actually Maurice on with us now. I think we have a few minutes left. Did you send him the link, John?
Yeah, he's got it on the email that I've always sent it to.
Oh, okay. Good deal. And then also I know I'm looking for something else. There we go. There is a fundraiser tomorrow in Evansville. So anybody listening there, you got our good peeps on the ref 97.7, you guys. Alumni will be at Evansville area Schnucks locations raising money for the food bank tomorrow from 10 to 2. The school that raises the most money gets bragging rights. It's a red and black give back. IU versus Purdue alumni clubs there in Evansville. So if you're a part of the IU alumni club in Evansville, you need to get out and do that. So make sure you help them out. So hopefully we get Mo Creek on here in a little bit so he joins us before the show ends. I know he's got a game tonight, a game tomorrow night, 2 home games. These are the last 2 home games that they're having, as a matter of fact. Just so if you live in that area around Brownsburg, Medora, whatever, and you want to get over there, I've heard they've had some pretty good crowds to see that. I'm hoping to get there tomorrow night myself. Today, of course, I'm here at the Big Ten Golf Championship, Men's Golf Championship, which I'll stay here for that. And I'm stalling for time, to be honest with you, trying to get Mo on. But if he comes on, great. I don't know how they've done since he's joined the team. We haven't been able to talk to him. He will have got him some shirts made. Looks pretty cool that he'll get out as well. You're welcome. I hope that make sure you guys, if you're in Evansville, stand up for that fundraiser, by the way. And then this weekend, if you're in the Fort Wayne area, you've got the Bill Hensley Run and Slam going on up there. And then we'll have the complete wrap-up of the weekend's recruiting action on Monday with Kyler Staley from the Hoosier.com, who will be at the Bill Hensley Run and Slam up there. It's been kind of quiet. At least it's quieting down a little bit, recruiting, other than the noise being made by the Nigel Pack thing. It's just going to be. It's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And how ignorant, though, was it? Not ignorant, but I don't think it was very smart of the Life Wallet people to do that deal and for it to be public. They should have made sure that it wasn't talked about because they knew they had another deal with that other kid. But we'll see how that works out. And maybe he shouldn't have done it publicly. Maybe he should have gone. Maybe he did go behind the scenes. I don't know how that worked. But I do know what the response was, and it was, don't let the door hit you in the behind. So we'll see. Hey, make sure you join the WOW Club, by the way. Go to your Apple Store or Google Store. It's easy, free to sign up for. You pick yourself dining dollars and discounts. And also don't forget, coming up, brought to you by the Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford, May 13th and 14th. It's not that far away. The Crawfest going on down there at the Harp Commons. And this year's event is headlined by country music superstar Clayton Anderson, who's your native. Beer garden, all you can eat. It's got the biggest crawfish boil around. Fun for the entire family. It's going on live music Friday and Saturday night. So looking forward to that. Hope the weather's great. That's the weekend after Derby. So you've got Derby the week before that. Then you got the Crawfest. And then 2 weeks later, you've got the Indianapolis 500. There's a lot coming up, man. It just doesn't stop. And that's just in the month of May. I don't know. The Bo's going to make it on.
What do you think about in terms of a Derby? I don't know if you've had a chance to look at any horses. I mean, speaking for myself personally, I've only heard a few names, but who are some of the horses you've heard that might be favorites?
Zero. Not a
You've
one.
heard nothing. We'll get into that next.
We'll have yes, I was going to say, well, I have not even looked at it. But I do like this comment, and I talk about it. There's a reason employers tell employees not to discuss what they're being paid. Exactly. But now we're dealing with kids and agents, and it's just a recipe for disaster. But this whole thing's a recipe for disaster. The biggest thing, and I didn't get to talk about this at all, and damn it, I meant to talk about it with Zach, is there are seismic changes coming in the NCAA, and I mean seismic changes. It is, if you think it's crazy now, the proposed deregulation is just going to, I think, I don't know what happens. The NCAA basically knows they've lost control. If they ever had, they didn't really have control. What they had was a monopoly. They had everybody under the thumb. But once they got out and escaped and looked around, they say, whoa, they can't hold us down. And the NCAA has realized, we can't, we're not going to be able to do that. It's falling apart. I mean, have you ever seen something literally fall apart like the NCAA is that quickly? And even though I had backed off of Mark Emmert here for a while, thinking, all right, maybe I'm going to blame the schools. No, from what I keep reading, Mark Emmert, he was paid millions upon millions of dollars to basically wreck the NCAA. They lost a lawsuit again in the Ed O'Bannon case, 10 years ago, early into Emmert's tenure, in regards to the EA Sports deal and stuff. Well, the other two plaintiffs, they settled with Ed O'Bannon. They're like, you know what? We're not fighting this. Not the NCAA. No. We're going to appeal. They lost, but we're going to appeal. And they kept appealing year after year, kept appealing and lost. They lost every one of them. And through all that, Emmert led them through that. Instead of starting a course to add NIL, to add the transfer portal, it could have been done, a couple of years apart. It would have had, if there was a plan that was being implemented even, that would have been enough to keep people happy. But now you've got a 180-degree implosion of college athletics. And I don't know which one it's going to – I don't know which one's going to affect more. I think it's going to affect basketball more, to be honest with you. I think the football juggernauts are going to remain juggernauts. That's a hard thing to crack into. We saw Cincinnati kind of do that last year. Basketball, and we had this discussion the other day. Everybody seems like they disagreed with me, but you don't know who can just become good all of a sudden. When Miami, use them as an example. Yeah, they already had success, but they've got this billionaire backing them. If you have a billionaire backing any other team, they could just pay the guys to come in. So it's going to be a seismic change with the deregulations the NCAA are proposing because they don't have the control over them. What's going to happen with schools like Kansas? The punishment. Are they going to get anything? Is Bill Self going to get away with this? They're not. How are they going to punish the Kansas team? Because this was in 2017. Now they win the 2022 national championship, so it's 5 years removed. I don't think there was a player on that team from back then. So it's an always winding situation, John Boy. What's going on for the weekend?
What's up, Jim Boy? Sorry. You called me in the midst of production stuff.
Cool. What's going on for the weekend? As Derby gets prepared. Oh, Derby's 1 week away, by the way, the Kentucky Derby. They start. Do they start racing on Monday, or they already started racing at Churchill Downs?
I'm not too sure. I think it's Tuesday though, but I'm not.
Could be.
100%
Could be when they start. And then, of course, Thursday is now called Thurby. Big day out there. And then Friday is the Kentucky Oaks. And Saturday, of course, the Kentucky Derby. Maybe coming to you from Churchill Downs next Friday. We'll see if we can manage to do that as well, as we like to take the show out on the road and bring it to you guys, man. Bring you to the action. But I know I usually try to pay attention to that, but it's been so busy. I have not even looked at that.
From what I've heard, I know one horse, and obviously you're not going to see any Bob Baffert horses this year. But Epicenter is the name that I've been hearing thrown around as the early favorite right now.
Tim says he's taking his grandmother-in-law on a graveyard run around Louisville tomorrow. I don't even know what that means.
See, in my mind, and obviously this is a joke, a graveyard run for somebody who would be, I don't know, maybe your mother or grandmother would be like you're touring a place where they might be.
That's kind of what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking.
Plot.
I was thinking checking out the Ever Eternal. But Epicenter is Derby favorite. That's what Tim says. Again, I haven't heard of a single horse. You know, a few years ago, I think, I don't know if I talked about this on air the other day, or it was to you, John, but a few years ago we did the show from the Derby on Friday, and I made it an Indiana special, and I had like 10 or 11, 12 IU guys, you know, Blackman, just all kinds of people, Bill Mallory even, just picking their own horse. And so next week, but the all-time classic of classics
1 minute
was Kirk Haston, and you'll get to hear that again next week.
Oh yeah, Hoof-Hearted.
Only busted out once a year, baby. Hoof-Hearted by Kirk Haston. It was the greatest of all time. It was unplanned and unprompted, and man, was it awesome. But so was today. I cannot thank everybody enough. Mick Mayer, the head coach of Indiana men's golf, Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com, Zach Osterman from the Indianapolis Star, Brendan Sweeney, of course, from Fred Slick, Pete Dycourse, and here at the Resort and Casino, and Frank Bassett, since Mo Creek wasn't able to make it on. But like I said, if you're there and around, you can go see Mo tonight. He's going to be at Cabello on Sunday at 1 o'clock. I'm sure he'll be advertising that as well. But I've had a blast here with you guys as always. Looking forward to it. And I can't wait to see you all again on Monday when we'll be back at it again, have a complete wrap up of all the weekend's recruiting, and be ready to go. So until then, for John and everybody else, thank you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.